The Toyota Land Cruiser sells out in 9 days. The car sitting at number 1 on this list will still be on that same dealer lot in 2029 at its current sales pace. Same country, same market. 1,152 days of unsold inventory versus 9. That gap doesn't happen by accident. A healthy car sits on a lot for 60 days. Everything on this list exceeds that number by months, sometimes years. These aren't cheap cars nobody can afford. CarEdge data shows the 10 slowest selling cars in America right now average $55,161 in transaction price. They're expensive cars nobody wants to buy. 13 cars, ranked from merely slow to genuinely abandoned. The last entry might be the most revealing data point about American automotive preference in 2026. Let's count down. Number 13, Mitsubishi Outlander, 2025 to 2026. The 2025 to 2026 Mitsubishi Outlander has been appearing consistently on CarEdge's slow seller tracking across multiple months, a persistence that reflects a broader problem for a brand that has been quietly bleeding dealers at a rate of 56 lost franchises since 2019, the steepest proportional network decline of any mainstream automaker in America. The remaining dealers averaged just 15 new car sales per month, according to Mitsubishi's own CEO, a number the company itself has publicly acknowledged isn't sustainable long-term. The Outlander's challenge is structural rather than cosmetic. In a segment dominated by the Honda CR-V, Toyota RAV4, and Hyundai Tucson, the Outlander competes on price while carrying brand recognition so thin that most buyers in cross-shop scenarios eliminate it before they've even finished building their shortlist. J.D. Power's rankings consistently fail to include it among recommended buys in its price segment, and the lineup's reliance on the Outlander PHEV as its primary selling point means the base models absorb the inventory pressure when EV enthusiasm softens. The Outlander's base price of $29,995 sounds competitive until buyers realize rivals offer stronger warranties, better reliability ratings, and more established dealer networks for the same money. Mitsubishi's own dealer satisfaction surveys have ranked among the lowest in the industry for multiple consecutive years, creating a sales floor problem that no amount of rebate spending has been able to lift. But a brand nobody thinks about is one kind of slow. The next car belongs to a brand everyone knows, and it's somehow still sitting unsold across thousands of dealer lots. Number 12, Chrysler Pacifica, 2026. The 2026 Chrysler Pacifica has landed in CarEdge's National Bottom 10 Slow Sellers list for multiple consecutive months, and the story behind that number is genuinely bleak. Chrysler, once one of the 3 pillars of American automotive history, now sells exactly 2 vehicles in the United States, the Pacifica and the Voyager, which is itself just a stripped-down Pacifica wearing a different name tag. That's the entire brand. 2 products, both minivans, both derivatives of engineering that first launched in 2017, competing against freshly redesigned rivals from Toyota and Honda. Consumer Reports placed Chrysler in the bottom 5 of all 26 tested manufacturers for reliability in 2026, alongside Jeep and Ram under the same Stellantis roof. The minivan segment itself has been shrinking for 2 decades as buyers migrated toward 3-row SUVs that offer the same passenger capacity without the social stigma of being seen in a minivan at school pickup. The Pacifica's one genuine advantage, or its available plug-in hybrid system, e-Tourney, is precisely the powertrain buyers are most hesitant to buy right now. Stellantis has been unable to fund a meaningful Pacifica redesign while managing financial losses across the broader group, leaving the vehicle to compete on features alone against freshly engineered Japanese alternatives. A Pacifica buyer comparing it directly against the Toyota Sienna or Honda Odyssey in 2026 is looking at a minivan with older tech, weaker reliability data, and a brand perception problem that no feature list can overcome. But a brand coasting on a decade-old platform is slow motion decline. The next car is in an even stranger position. It's disappearing in real time while buyers watch. Number 11, Jaguar F-Pace, 2025 to 2026. The 2025 to 2026 Jaguar F-Pace has been a confirmed slow-selling model for the entire past year per CarEdge. Not one bad quarter, but 12 straight months of inventory, accumulating faster than buyers absorb it. The story is unusual. Jaguar has publicly announced it's retiring every current model and relaunching as an ultra-luxury electric brand at a much higher price point, which sounds exciting until you realize there's currently nothing to actually buy. Buyers who know the brand is changing have no incentive to buy the current generation. Buyers interested in the new direction have nothing yet available to purchase. That gap is sitting unsold on dealer lots right now. In New Jersey specifically, the closely related Land Rover Discovery sold just 5 units over a 45-day tracking window in May 2026, too slow to calculate a daily average. Consumer Reports couldn't include Jaguar Land Rover in its 2026 manufacturer reliability rankings at all, placing the brand alongside Maserati in the category too sparse to produce a reliable trend line. The existing F-Pace inventory ages on lots, while Jaguar announces a future nobody can buy yet. Jaguar's last entirely new combustion engine SUV before the F-Pace launched over 8 years ago, meaning the vehicle buyers can actually purchase today, is built on engineering that predates almost everything it's competing against. The brand's decision to go dark on current product while building hype for a future nobody can yet buy is genuinely unprecedented for a mainstream luxury automaker. A brand caught mid-reinvention creates paralysis. The next car had a famous badge, a massive budget, and still ended up here. Number 10, Ford Mustang Mach-E, 2025 to 2026. The 2025 to 2026 Ford Mustang Mach-E climbed to 3rd place on CarEdge's slowest-selling car list in February 2026, carrying nearly 1 full year of market supply. A stark reversal from the genuine excitement it generated at launch. The naming decision never stopped haunting it. Attaching the Mustang badge to a 4-door front-wheel drive optional electric crossover angered traditional Mustang buyers who felt the name was being diluted, while EV shoppers who didn't care about Mustang heritage weren't particularly persuaded by it either. Ford satisfied nobody trying to satisfy everyone. The competitive landscape has also shifted dramatically underneath it. When the Mach-E launched, the Tesla Model Y was the primary rival. By 2026, it competes against the dramatically cheaper Chevrolet Equinox EV, the superior Hyundai Ioniq 5, and a Tesla that has cut its own prices repeatedly. Ford has cut the Mach-E's price multiple times, a cycle that signals weakness and trains buyers to wait for the next reduction, rather than commit today. Ford's own internal sales data reportedly showed the Mustang name actively deterred a segment of EV shoppers who associated it with gasoline performance culture rather than sustainable transportation. The exact buyer the Mach-E needed to attract. The repeated price cuts have also created a secondary problem. Mach-E owners who paid full price earlier in the vehicle's life cycle are now watching their resale values collapse faster than comparable EVs from brands that held pricing more steadily. A famous name on the wrong product creates the worst of both worlds. The next car has no famous name, just a Swedish design studio, a Chinese parent company, and 585 days of unsold inventory. Number 9, Polestar 4 2026. The 2026 Polestar 4 recorded 585 days of market supply in New Jersey as of May 2026. Clearing lots in a single state would take nearly a year and a half at current pace. The business case is alarming. Polestar reported total losses of $2.36 billion in 2025 on just 60,119 vehicles sold globally, meaning the company loses roughly $39,200 on every single car it sells. The Polestar 4 is losing money faster than inventory. The car's unique design decision, no rear window, replaced by a camera feeding an interior screen, generated genuine launch publicity and converted almost none of that attention into purchases. Buyers in its price range shopping for an electric crossover are choosing the BMW iX, the Mercedes EQS SUV, or simply waiting for the EV market to stabilize rather than betting on an unproven brand. Polestar's parent structure, a majority owned by Geely through Volvo, is neither recognized nor trusted by American luxury buyers who associate Volvo with station wagons rather than six-figure prestige. Polestar has fewer than 70 active service centers across the continental United States, meaning owners outside major metro areas face service wait times measured in weeks and travel distances measured in hours for anything beyond an over-the-air software fix. That service network gap compounds every other purchase hesitation for buyers already uncertain about committing to an unproven brand. Losing $39,200 per sale is a business catastrophe. The next car wasn't losing money per sale. It was losing an entire generation of loyal fans with a single product decision. Number 8, Dodge Charger, 2025 to 2026. The 8th generation 2025 to 2026 Dodge Charger has produced one of the most dramatic sales collapses in recent American automotive history. The previous Charger sold nearly 76,000 units in 2023, its final full year of production. The new Charger, offered as both an all-electric Daytona and a 6-cylinder gasoline 6-pack, sold just 7,421 total units in all of 2025, its first full year on the market. The gas 6-pack managed only 1,672 units in Q1 2026. CarEdge tracked the Charger at 452 days of supply in March 2026. The new generation faces a nearly impossible task: replace both the beloved Charger sedan and the Challenger coupe simultaneously, while converting a V8 loyal fan base to a twin turbocharged 6-cylinder or a fully electric drivetrain. Dodge CEO Matt McAleer publicly insisted the slow sales reflect supply limitations rather than demand problems, a position genuinely difficult to reconcile with 452 days of inventory sitting on lots. The loyal Charger buyer who spent 3 decades with a V8 simply didn't convert. They're waiting, or already gone. The previous generation Charger's V8 exhaust note was a specific, documented emotional purchase driver for its most loyal buyers, a physical sensation that no amount of turbocharged 6-cylinder tuning or electric motor torque has replicated to their satisfaction. Dodge's own CEO acknowledged in April 2026 that dealer inventory of gas-powered Chargers was still ramping up, a supply explanation the 452-day market supply figure makes genuinely difficult to accept at face value. 10 times fewer sales than the car it replaced. The next entry was killed entirely before it even got started. A tariff it never saw coming ended production mid-sentence. Number 7. Dodge Hornet, 2025 to 2026. The 2025 to 2026 Dodge Hornet accumulated 480 days of market supply at its peak. Then things got worse. Production ended in early 2026 after the Italy-built crossover was hit with 25% import tariffs on top of a starting price of $32,000, in a compact SUV segment where the Chevrolet Trax starts at $20,000. The plug-in hybrid RR/T version had 82% of its 2024 allocation still unsold at the end of 2025, even after dealer discounts of $15,000 to $20,000. Think about that. Dealers cut 50% off the sticker price on a brand new vehicle, and buyers still said no. The Hornet's failure is architectural. Dodge built its identity on performance cars and muscle trucks. Placing a $32,000 budget crossover under that badge, built in Italy, competing against the Trax and HR-V, created a product nobody was asking for. Dodge fans didn't want it. Value shoppers chose cheaper Japanese alternatives. And then a tariff ended production before the brand could even attempt a course correction. The 25% import tariff that killed Hornet production made the already thin margin on each unit mathematically impossible to sustain, and Stellantis chose to end production rather than absorb losses on a vehicle that was already failing to generate organic demand even before the tariff arrived. Dealers holding remaining Hornet inventory are now in a uniquely uncomfortable position, selling a discontinued Italian-built vehicle from a struggling American brand with uncertain parts support going forward. A car discontinued before clearing its own launch inventory. The next entry belongs to an entire parent company that has dominated the slow sellers list for an entire year running. If you've spotted any of these on a local lot, drop the car, the state, and your best guess at the discount in the comments. We read everyone. And subscribe. CarEdge updates this data monthly, and the changes are genuinely remarkable. Number 6. Jeep Grand Wagoneer, 2025 to 2026. The 2025 to 2026 Jeep Grand Wagoneer has been a confirmed slow-selling model for most of the past year, according to CarEdge's March 2026 analysis. And that persistence came even after major price cuts specifically to move the inventory. When dealers are cutting $25,000 or more off MSRP and the car still won't sell, the problem isn't pricing strategy. The problem is that buyers have made a fundamental judgment about the product itself. Stellantis positioned the Grand Wagoneer as a $90,000 to $110,000 plus competitor to the Cadillac, Escalade, and Lincoln Navigator, two vehicles backed by decades of luxury brand trust. The Grand Wagoneer is backed by Jeep, a brand Consumer Reports simultaneously ranked as the lowest scoring manufacturer for overall owner satisfaction in 2026. Buyers at that price point are extraordinarily brand conscious, and the Jeep badge communicates something very specific about reliability expectations. 5 Stellantis models appeared simultaneously in CarEdge's National Bottom 10 Slow Sellers list in March 2026. From a company whose U.S. market share has been collapsing for 7 consecutive years. The Grand Wagoneer's interior quality, while genuinely impressive in top trims, has not been able to overcome the fundamental trust gap between the Jeep brand and buyers writing 6-figure checks. A gap that Cadillac and Lincoln have spent decades building in their favor. Industry analysts have noted the Grand Wagoneer's sales trajectory closely mirrors what happened to the Lincoln Blackwood pickup in the early 2000s. A premium product from a non-premium brand that the market simply refused to accept regardless of the features added to justify the price. A $110,000 Jeep collecting dust makes a statement. The next car has 321 days of supply and sold just 104 units nationally last month. Number 5, Maserati Grecale, 2026. The 2026 Maserati Grecale recorded 321 days of market supply in March 2026 and sold just 104 units nationally that same month. The Toyota Camry sold that many units every 17 minutes on an average sales day. Maserati's global sales have collapsed 58% in 2 years, falling from nearly 49,000 units in 2017 down to 11,127 worldwide in 2025. The 25% import tariff on European vehicles landed on top of a price already hard to justify against Porsche and BMW. The Grecale's core problem is a trust gap. The difference between what a brand charges and what buyers believe it has earned the right to charge. Porsche earns its premium through decades of performance heritage. BMW earns it through engineering reputation. Maserati's reliability record and dealer network don't currently justify the premium it needs to charge to remain profitable. SlashGear put it plainly, Maserati is facing just about every challenge a luxury car could face. The 2026 Grecale's new twin-turbo V6 arrives after years of brand damage that makes selling 104 units feel like a crisis. Maserati's American dealer network has shrunk significantly alongside its sales volume, meaning buyers who do want a Grecale often face limited local options for test drives and service. A compounding disadvantage in a segment where Porsche and BMW offer dense networks with strong certified pre-owned programs. The brand's absence from Consumer Reports' 2026 reliability rankings, excluded for insufficient data alongside Jaguar and Land Rover, removes one of the key third-party validation sources American luxury buyers specifically rely on before writing a check at this price point. 104 buyers nationally. The next car hasn't been on sale long enough to prove it has buyers at all. Number 4, Volkswagen ID.4 2026. The 2026 Volkswagen ID.4 was the slowest selling car in America for 3 consecutive months in early 2026, according to CarEdge, with a national market day supply of approximately 1.5 years in January 2026. Meaning, an ID.4 on a dealer lot that month might still be there when 2027 models arrive. In California, the country's largest EV market, the ID.4 recorded 933 days of supply in May 2026. That's nearly 3 years of inventory in the state most favorable for selling it. The federal EV tax credit collapse eliminated the single biggest incentive propping up ID.4 demand. Without it, the value proposition against the Tesla Model Y, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, and the dramatically cheaper Chevrolet Equinox EV became impossible to justify. Consumer Reports' 2026 survey confirmed only 45% of ID.4 owners would buy one again, barely half satisfied. The ID.4 also faced software problems severe enough to trigger legal action in certain markets. An unusual outcome for a mainstream crossover from a global automaker. Volkswagen's attempt to resolve software complaints through over-the-air updates arrived too late for buyers who had already formed their opinions during the critical first impression window. And those negative word-of-mouth reports proved far more durable than any positive press release the brand could generate in response. The ID.4's reliability reputation spread specifically through Reddit automotive communities and dedicated EV forums in ways that made it uniquely difficult for Volkswagen to reset perceptions even after genuine mechanical improvements were made. 933 days of supply in the most EV-friendly state in America is a failure on every level. The next car managed 1,125 days in a single state for a vehicle that had just launched. Number 3. Subaru Trailseeker 2026. The 2026 Subaru Trailseeker recorded 1,125 days of market supply in Pennsylvania in April 2026. Among the most extreme single-state supply numbers for any mainstream brand's new vehicle in recent memory. The number reveals something specific about how Subaru's loyal buyers think about the brand. Subaru's core identity is built around the Outback, Forester, Crosstrek, and Impreza, chosen for all-wheel drive reliability, value, and proven track record in harsh weather. The Trailseeker doesn't strengthen any of those reasons. It simply adds an electric powertrain to a buyer base that chose Subaru precisely for its gasoline drivetrains. Subaru buyers who want an EV are considering the Tesla Model Y, Ioniq 5, or Kia EV6, brands with established electric track records. Subaru buyers who want a Subaru are buying the Crosstrek and Outback that already do everything they value. The Trailseeker is aimed at buyers who want both simultaneously, a market smaller than either standalone group. The Trailseeker exists to meet regulatory requirements, not because Subaru's customers were asking for it. Subaru's own research indicates its core buyers skew older and more rural than typical EV adopters, meaning the demographic most loyal to the Subaru badge is also statistically the least likely to make an electric vehicle their primary daily driver. The Trailseeker's range and charging network limitations in the mountain and rural environments where Subaru's identity is strongest make the mismatch between product and buyer even more pronounced than the raw sales data alone captures. 1,125 days in a single state is extraordinary. The car that topped it nationally has an even more baffling number, and it wears a Toyota badge. Number 2. Toyota BZ Woodland 2026. The 2026 Toyota BZ Woodland is the single slowest selling new car in America as of June 2026, with a national market day supply of 1,152 days and 1,869 units on dealer lots. At the current sales pace, those vehicles won't clear the system until approximately 2029. This is wearing a Toyota badge, a brand that simultaneously holds the fastest selling car in America, the Toyota Land Cruiser, at just 9 days of supply. That contrast tells you everything about how specifically Toyota's buyers respond to the badge. The BZ Woodland is Toyota's off-road-focused electric SUV, built for buyers who want wilderness capability without a combustion engine. The problem is structural. Toyota's adventure buyers choose Land Cruisers and 4Runners specifically because they trust decades of mechanical reliability in remote areas where charging infrastructure doesn't exist. An electric SUV marketed toward exactly those buyers in exactly those locations doesn't solve the problem they're actually trying to solve. The BZ Woodland answers a question Toyota's most loyal customers weren't asking. Toyota's own marketing for the BZ Woodland specifically targeted outdoor enthusiasts and off-road adventurers, the exact demographic that overwhelmingly told Toyota in its own market research that they prioritize mechanical reliability over electric efficiency when choosing a vehicle for remote use. The BZ Woodland situation is a case study in what happens when a manufacturer's regulatory compliance strategy and its core customers' actual purchase motivations point in completely opposite directions. 1,152 days nationally. The final car on this list somehow makes that number look like a minor setback by comparison. Number 1. Jeep Grand Wagoneer L 2025 to 2026. Everything that makes the standard Grand Wagoneer a slow seller gets amplified in the L, the long wheelbase version adding more space and an even higher price to a vehicle buyers have already rejected. The Grand Wagoneer family has dominated CarEdge's slow seller tracking all year, even after $25,000 plus cuts became standard. When $25,000 discounts are the floor, not the ceiling, the original pricing was a fantasy. The Grand Wagoneer L earns the top spot not just for the inventory data, but for what it represents, a price tag of $110,000 or more. The Jeep brand ranked dead last for overall owner satisfaction in Consumer Reports' 2026 survey, a Stellantis parent whose U.S. market share has collapsed through 7 consecutive years of declining sales. Jeep appearing 3 times in North Carolina's top 10 slowest sellers alone. The Grand Wagoneer L sits at the intersection of maximum price, minimum brand trust, and maximum inventory, the worst possible combination against the Cadillac Escalade. The Grand Wagoneer L specifically added a longer wheelbase to solve a third-row legroom problem that buyers at this price point typically solve by simply purchasing a different brand entirely, one that has spent decades earning the right to charge $110,000 for a family hauler. Stellantis' decision to continue producing the Grand Wagoneer L despite over a year of documented slow-selling data reflects either extraordinary confidence in an eventual market recovery or a production commitment that has become too expensive to simply walk away from. The most unsold car in America isn't a startup's experiment or a niche luxury item. It's a 6-figure SUV from an iconic American brand fading in the sun on a dealer lot it's been parked on for well over a year. 13 cars. From a Mitsubishi nobody thinks about to a Jeep that nobody wants at any price. The market doesn't lie. 1,152 days of supply is the clearest verdict a buyer can deliver. The manufacturer believed in it. The dealer ordered the inventory. The buyer said no. Which one surprised you most? Tell us in the comments and subscribe. CarEdge updates this data monthly, and the slow seller list tells you more about the real American car market than any press release ever will.